Welcome to the True Elegance Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bunmi Akinkugbe, also known as Dr. B. Through solo episodes and guest sessions, we delve into the timeless qualities of style, grace, and sophistication and uncover what makes you truly elegant. So, sit back, relax, and let's get started on this empowering journey of becoming truly elegant. And I'm so excited to jump into today's conversation. Thank you for the intro and everything you shared in your emails. And that was so fascinating. I'm like, we're probably going to kick off with that. But just to make it a little formal, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself to the amazing True Elegance podcast community, which I'm sure you've read about, that we're not just about fashion and fancy and everything, but talking about everything that makes us beautiful from the inside out, which includes character, finding our core values, which I know is a big thing for you, being bold to be able to take the steps, sometimes to take a scary leap and see what comes out of it. So that's a little bit about True Elegance. So please go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience, Jaclyn.
Yeah, sure. So Dr. B, so thank you again for having me. My name is Jaclyn Strominger, and I am a high performance business and lifestyle career coach. And one of the things that I love and I love to share and help my clients is really to know themselves and to truly believe in themselves and have that belief. And the reason I became a coach, there's lots of different reasons why I became a coach, but my backstory is when we go to college and we're going through life, right? And we're like, things are just happening. Some of us have a plan from like day one. When I went to college, I had an idea about what I wanted to do, and I kind of formulated that when I was there. But I was on my own. I didn't have the mentor. I didn't have the great advisors. Yes, my parents, I have great parents, but to be honest, growing up, it was not the best mentor type, like, oh, I look at my parents like as my role models. So I became a coach because it took me so long to really believe in who I am and who I was and who I wanted to be. And the change that we have and that we go through and gaining that inner confidence.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking, at the beginning about shapes. I mean, that was one of the parts that was really dramatic for me growing up, which is weight was a huge issue. You know, falling like falling into a look, how I dressed, how I looked, my weight was so important, more to my mother than it was to me. So, but it was impressed on me. So it was all these things that are put on you that obviously shape you, no pun
Right.
intended, um, and that create your character and who you are and your confidence. And I just truly love helping people discover who they are, what their true mission is, and what their core values are that really make up who they are. I call it your achievement code because that's those values are really what we live by,
Right.
each and every one of us. And we
Mm-hmm.
we need to know our code, and everybody's code is different. You might love and be truly, you know it might be authenticity and leadership and truth, or name it, but everybody could have them in different levels, and you could make up the same, but there are some that are stronger than others, right? And so
Right.
that makes us who we are. But sometimes we need somebody to help bring those out to truly believe in us. And that's what I love. So that's a long-winded way about my journey, about how I, corporate to coaching, because we need people to believe in us to help us rise up to find our true selves.
Wow, that is beautiful and so true. And so in your journey so far, what have you seen to be the um what prevents women especially from stepping into that unique person that they are, or what they were born with, like we said, like as life goes on, as age creeps in, as work, family commitment creeps in, what kind of steals that joy and makes it hard to find ourselves?
I think there's a couple of different things that happen personally, and from what I've learned and years of experience. One of the things that when we're kids, right, when we're little babies and we're growing up, we have nothing to relate to. We just know what it is right now. And as we get older, there's experiences that happen and things shape us. And
Right.
so it's we have life experiences and things that we believe to be true, whether they are true or not. There's true versus truth. And so we get stuck in these mind truths in ourselves that we start to believe in. And they may not be true, but we get stuck there and we
Mm,
keep believing them, and it's like what people will say to us, right? It could be that um, I used to have this incredible, I'm just going to use myself as an example, but
okay.
I used to be incredibly insecure about my looks. And one of the reasons why was because, when I was growing up, my nose was very different. And my
Mhm.
parents used to say to me, "Don't worry, Jaclyn, you have a great personality. We'll get the nose fixed." It doesn't matter if I got
Mm,
my nose fixed. It's
wow.
still like it was still these words that were coming into me. And whether and I was we're all beautiful people.
Hmm.
And so I just never believed in myself. And
Oh,
it took a while. So what happens is that we get these truths that are our truths, are what we believe is true, and we have to reshape them and we have to mold them to really what is the real truth.
right.
And we get into these habits of beliefs and thoughts, and we have to start switching them. And until we can switch those and have those shifts, we can we can feel that feeling of being stuck or not, that belief. And so I think a lot of times women in particularly, we get stuck in these roles
Hmm.
and we have these beliefs that we've been told. And we need to actually come into our own by releasing the past truths that we believe and
Hmm.
really finding the real truth
Wow,
of
that's awesome. Yeah, and that is so true. Like you said, getting stuck in roles and people's expectations of us rather than building ourselves from our core values, our vision, our goals, and going for it, and not allowing so much outside interference to cloud who we are and what we're meant to be. And I know that can be a little challenging, but with working on ourselves, working with a coach, working to stay focused, I believe it's possible for
Mhm.
every woman. Yes,
Yep.
yes.
And there's a couple of things that pop in my mind. In the movie Runaway Bride, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Julia Roberts' character uh, was talking, and this is what's sticking in front of my head right for a second.
Okay.
Talking about she's Richard Gere asks her how she likes her eggs, and she didn't know because she
Hmm.
was always somebody else had always ordered her eggs for her, or
Wow.
somebody else had. It was like this moment of like, how do you like your eggs? How do you like it was, and so we have to know what we like and we
Hmm.
have to believe what we like and stand for what we like, obviously as long as it's not putting harm on other people and knowing
Right.
that it's that we're doing things for the good, but know the things that you like, just and know, getting to know yourself sometimes, well, it can be very scary. There's that fear of like, who am I? And we have, you know, everybody is a shining light, and everybody has and you shared this on your podcast before. Everybody is here to do something and has a greater purpose.
Right.
We need to know what our gifts are, and sometimes you need somebody to help peel back those layers and have the beautiful flower come come to bloom.
Right. Wow, that's beautiful. I love that. Thanks for bringing that back into the radar, because the flower is waiting there, trying to bloom, trying to show all the colors. But if something is blocking it, or even if we ourselves are the ones preventing it from showing forth in all its glory, then we really need to come to the realization of that. I want to take you back a little bit to, defining and redefining who we are and tying it with our core values. Sometimes folks find it hard to be able to define that. Are there any tips you can give that will help people to discover themselves, embrace their core values to be able to live their purpose?
So there's a couple of things that I like to share and a couple of questions I'd like people to ask of themselves,
Okay.
right? And the first question is really, when you're thinking about your core values, if you can think of 5 things that really, really resonate with you in terms of personalities, things that really mean a lot to you. And there's a really great list of values. And if anybody wants it, just reach out to me. I can share it. But
Okay.
it's what matters most? Is it integrity? So really think about the 5 things that really matter most to you, of other people, how they act, and how you want to act. The other thing is to think about, really, to ask yourself, what do you truly want in this life?
Right.
And ask yourself, what do you believe are your unique superpowers or gifts? I like to call them superpowers because each and every
Mm-hmm.
one has them. Think of like 3 things that are your key superpowers. And then ask yourself, if you could experience anything in this life, what would you like to experience?
Wow.
And think about those questions and think about how they relate to what you are currently doing in life and what you want to do in life. And not need to do, but want to do.
Mm.
Need to do a lot of different things. But what we want to do is going to help us define what we need to do to get to what we want.
Want to do. Wow. I love that. Because it kind of brings some pleasure and passion into going after what you're meant to be doing. And it all starts with defining and realizing and embracing your unique powers, which is one thing I also always advocate for, because even though two people might look so similar in many ways, there's still something, even, identical twins that look so much alike. You still find out that there's a feature somewhere that separates them. They're of different character. Maybe they even they might like similar things, but there'll be one thing that differentiates one from the other. So if that can happen in identical twins, then think more of even you as an individual. And there are things that make you unique. They're your superpowers. And the more you tune into them and develop them, the better they become and the more in line with your purpose you will be, because you're not struggling to be someone else, but you're using everything God has given you to become a better version of yourself and enjoying your everyday life like you have in those questions.
Right. And it's so, I think it's so important. What you just said is that you need to be you. You need to
Right.
find out who you are, not somebody else. You
Mm-hmm.
can look at other people as mentors and role models,
Right.
but you have to be the true you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are that, you're living the way that you should be.
Right.
And living with the purpose, living with the right belief. If you get up every day and and this is also where like a big something that I really focus on with both individuals, for life and business. If you get up every day and you're not feeling driven with a purpose and a mission, then we need to spend some time to look at that. And that's where we take those questions and we need to, I truly believe that to live your true you, that we also need to have a true mission and purpose and passion and find that mission. So I look at things like your vision, your mission, your goals, your actions, the energy that you have. I actually put it together in something that I called the LEAP framework.
Right.
And that when we're living that way and then we're propelling forward with purpose and
Mm-hmm.
performance, then when we get up every day, we're feeling like we can take on the world.
Right. Right.
Just kids.
Right.
Right.
Yes, you're energized, you're focused, you're purpose driven. And I like one of your concepts, you talk about being the CEO of you. And
Yeah.
that's like the little bit of what you've shared already. And also your LIP strategy, which you use for your coaching clients, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And being the CEO of you, I just had this amazing, I was just did an amazing talk with a bunch of men and women who have gone through divorce.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that I did with this was we went through being the CEO of you, unlocking your potential and crafting their mission statement, because that's where it starts.
Okay.
And what is really profound about that is that as a CEO, you can look at the letters, you're the chief executive officer.
Mm-hmm.
You are the chief executive officer of you. And what does that person do in a company or in a business? They're orchestrating, they're leading the charge. And in order to do that, you have to start here. It's like charity. It's like the words, charity and, starts at home. We
Right.
need to be here first so that we can orchestrate and be the ones that, if we're the chief executive officer of our life and of us, then we can then bring other people into the fold and sprinkle positivity. When we're living happy and true to our mission, it
Mm.
spreads. So it's like smiles, right? You put a smile on your face,
You
smiles
smile.
are contagious, right? So we'd rather have that and helping people really believe in themselves and redefine themselves. And one of the things that came out of this talk, which it's to me really, somebody had shared, they said, I'm now divorced. And somebody said, now I can truly live my life the way I want to. And
Mm.
that hurt
Wow.
me like to my core, because it was going to make me cry, because I really believe that we all need to be living to our true core, whether we're married or not. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
of, whether you're single, you're married, in a partnership, in a relationship, we need to know who that is. And
Right.
when we know who we are, then we're going to attract the right people, and it's going to create the vibe and the tribe that we're going to have.
Right. Right. And we shouldn't have to give that up for anyone or anything because we only have one life to live. And if you're living every day, not wanting, like those questions you had, not experiencing what you want to be, what you truly want in life, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And I know you had an experience, back in 2018,
Yes, I did. I shared
taking you
that.
back to Boston.
Yeah, and I'll share that story. And
Uh-huh.
so it was really interesting. And this was one of the reasons I had been working with a coach in my business, like, and I
Okay.
was doing really well. But I was making this drive with my kids to school, and I was, again, it's like yesterday, it was a rainy day, and it was like the car was driving, but I wasn't. It was
Wow.
like how we were getting there, it was just kind of crazy. And I heard Katy Perry's song Roar,
Hmm.
and something snapped. And it was like, I'm not living my truth.
Hmm.
I'm I've something happened, and like I had been getting on that hamster wheel.
Right.
And I remember dropping my kids off at school. I remember coming home, and I just started writing, and I was like, what do I want? What do I want? And I kept writing. And what came out of that was that as a family, we
Mm-hmm.
needed to shift. We needed to change the environment. Things had to change. My husband was getting up every morning and leaving to go into Boston at, it was like 5 minutes earlier every single day, every year. And so he was leaving, he's coming home and just passing out on the couch. And I'm trying to have my work, and we're just doing this. And if like we weren't living as a unit, we were
Right.
just existing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, we need to start living. Life has to change. And so my husband is a physician, so we his job, I can go anywhere. Um so he had to find something. And so we looked at different opportunities, and there was an opportunity that was out in Reno, Nevada. And
Mm-hmm.
mind you, I have never lived in anywhere past the Mississippi, right? So we came out here. I mean, I'm an East Coast girl. Everywhere I've been was like in the East Coast. We came
Mm-hmm.
out here, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
And we love to ski, we love to hike, so we get all this great things. And that was Memorial Day, so it's really almost close to the time when we moved and we came out
Okay.
here. And it's Memorial Day weekend. We explore, we come home, and I said, we're going to move.
Hmm.
I mean, we found a house when we were out here. It needed work, but we all fell in love with it. Um, and we were packed up, driving across the country August 1st.
Wow.
And we haven't looked back. And
Hmm.
for my kids, they were at the time going into fifth and seventh grade.
Okay.
And they needed a change. It was
Wow.
like everybody needed a
It didn't
change.
change. Wow.
And that change of environment, we redefined our purpose. We looked at our vision that we wanted as a family, and we redefined the mission that we had, and we created a new energy, we created a new action plan, and it was life. I mean, it's been life changing. Do I miss the East Coast? Yes. Do I terribly miss my friends? Yes. But the change that we had by doing this, I mean, it was that, obviously that's really big, and I don't expect everybody to like go, oh, I'm going to move across the country. Right. But the change was so profound when we actually sat down and looked at what we really needed as a family, and what our purpose was, and our vision as a family. And one of the biggest things that I would say to anybody is,
Mm.
look at your vision and look at your mission, but don't just look at it once. It's got to be every 6 months. Re-look at that. It's not something that we just do New Year's Eve or New Year's Day,
Right.
right? This is a fluid thing that has to keep,
Exactly.
right? So that we stay focused, and that we're staying true to ourselves. And that's where I know, for me, that was a big learning lesson for me, is that I was writing out my mission. I was doing all those things, But then when I got on that, got into being comfortable, I stopped looking at it because I thought I
Mm,
was good. And
right,
it's one of those things that I work with my clients on is that we need to always be looking at that. It needs to
right.
be front and center. I
Mm-hmm.
always like to say, like, you guys can't see my wall, but I mean, like, I have something that's written on my wall that I look at every day. It says, "Who can I help today turn their passion into profit?"
Beautiful.
It's,
Mm-hmm.
and then further down is my full-on mission for
Right.
what purposes. And we look at it and read it, and it should be how when you do your calendar for the week, for the
Mm-hmm.
month,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be front and center. And
Right.
we need to be looking at those things so that we always stay living in our true purpose, and also that we're happy with what we're doing.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And I love the part about because we're constantly evolving, sometimes we go through various seasons of life, various stages of life, sometimes a single person might be different from what a married person's priorities are or a divorced person. And that's why it's so important to always review that mission, the goals, the steps, like how relevant is it to where I am today? And is it what I need for where I am and where I'm going? And if it's not, what do I need to tweak? Who needs to help me to get to that next step? Who do I need to let go of?
Right.
Unfortunately, that might happen too. But,
Yeah.
if we're not paying attention to it, then, like you said, we could get stuck in a comfort zone where we're just like, huh, life is good. You mentioned it in your story about Pleasantville. You
Yeah.
think you live in Pleasantville, but actually things are not pleasant and they're
Right.
not necessarily a reflection of who you really are and who you want to be.
Yeah. And
Right.
I think that's where complacency and comfort,
Hmm.
you know, we sometimes I think we become complacent, and that's
Sure.
it's the small, you hear it all the time when people say it's the small steps that we take to make those big leaps.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's having, sometimes it takes courage and to make that step, but and it can be challenging, but when we're doing it and we go through it, we're ending up living more with happiness again, and feeling more fulfillment
Fulfilled.
in what we're doing,
Sure.
and our what we do and our mission and our goals and what we're doing, it's tied to goals and where we want to go. It's not tied to things. Albert Einstein has a great quote on that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's when we're focused on the goals that we have and not achieving material things, but it's the
Mm-hmm.
goal of, my goal of helping to make the world a better place, or making every day wake up in the morning and having a smile on my face, or is it learning? Like we want to be evolving. And it is
Right.
true that when we become complacent and comfortable, we stop learning and we're not evolving as much.
True.
And life is about movement and change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Change is constant, right?
Change is the only constant. There's
Yeah.
another great thing. It's like you can't spell challenge without change.
Oh, wow.
So if you
So,
think about the word
so
challenge,
true. Like the letters, you're
you
gonna
can't
find
spell
change in
simple.
it.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. It's been an amazing session today. Thank you for all the awesome tips you've shared. And as we wrap up, I just want to give you a chance to share any closing remarks or a summary of if there's two or three things you want the audience to take away from today's session, please go ahead and share.
So yeah, thank you. And it's been so lovely connecting with you, and such an honor to be on your podcast. So know that if whatever you want, you can go after and get. It takes one step. And if you're not feeling that you're living 100%, today's a new day and it's okay. You can make a change. And it can be fearful, but know that that fear is the same feeling of excitement and happiness. Just we need to flip it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go after what you want. You can do it. And if you need help writing your mission, I have a free digital guide, the Unstoppable Achievers Journal, and you can go to my website and grab it. There are some exercises in there to help you craft your mission. It also does come with a complimentary session as well with me. So you can just go to my website, leaptoyoursuccess.com. And I'm here to help you live your truth and leap to your greatest success.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jaclyn. What a beautiful way to wrap it up. And thank you for your generosity to offer that free vision crafting statement and a complimentary session. I love the way you wrapped it up. You know, the same feeling we feel about fear is the same feeling, you know, hormones, everything that comes in place with excitement. So instead of drowning in our fears, let's flip it around and use it to take that leap into the next exciting journey of our lives to become a better version of ourselves. Thank you so much for being on our show today. And I'll be sure to include those links and everything else in the show notes. It's been a pleasure having you on the True Elegance podcast today.
All right. Thank you, Dr. B. I love it.
Be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first to be notified of every new episode. Leave a review and share this podcast with that elegant lady in your life. This is a space where we can come together to empower and inspire each other and leave feeling elevated and enlightened. See you in the next episode.